All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of 3-Star My Bag. This one's going to be featuring the bag of Mr. Garlic. So, of course, I had to ask him about his name. Kind of a cool story behind this one. It's actually a nod to his last name, which is basically translated from German into garlic. So I'll let you figure that out on your own. But kind of a nod to his grandpa, who was an elementary school teacher, and those students that couldn't pronounce his name, he just had them call him Mr. Garlic. So it's kind of a common theme in his family, the males of his family, to just have a nickname, Mr. Garlic. So he said even a few of his employees at work call him that. So that's why he decided to go with that for his game name. Cool story there. And we're going to get into his bag here in a sec. And he has actually asked me to do Northern Lights, so I'm excited to do a course I haven't done yet in this series. I really like Northern Lights. It's one of my favorite courses, so let's get into it. And here we go with his bag and then my copy underneath. So starting with the putter, there's an obvious thing there. He doesn't have an accurate heavy putter. It's a glide heavy, so I thought that was a little different. It sounds like he just uses it for like short putts and short throw-ins, but again, I've said it before. If it's not a driver, you want it to be accurate. It just increases your chances of being accurate. So that's my main thing there. Plus, you know, I like a combination of a putter that I use for throwing and then one that's more stable, kind of a utility thing. I love my Harp, but also I love the Pure, so can't fault him there. And then he's got the Fuse and the Compass, both glide. He's got the Glory and the Grace combo, also both glide. And that's my main thing with his fairways, is just there's not a roll. I know a lot of people are kind of going with the water skip and replacing their rolls, but I just love the accuracy of the roll and how you can stop it by the basket for any throw-ins or ace runs. So whichever one he throws the most, whether it be the PD or the Glory or the Grace for kind of ace runs that are, or throw-ins that are a little longer, I think it's nice to have a roll, whether that's a musket or a PD or a sapphire, whatever you're the best with. I think it's great to have a roll one, but that's my thoughts there. You know, I love the Glide PD. He's got the Accurate Glide Pioneer. He's got the Fade Tilt. That's the one disc that I did not have. I don't have any fade tilts, but the tilt fades plenty, so I'm always excited to have that in the bag. See if we could find a use for it on Northern Lights. And then again with his distance drivers, there's not a roll distance driver, so that's my main issue there. Other than that, it's got a solid selection. He's got the turn skip drive, and I think he's just waiting to get, you know, the Paradigm. If he's a little newer to the game and just wasn't there for the season that got the Paradigm, so I think that's kind of more his style. We talked about that a little bit, but for now, that turn skip works well for him. And then he's got the Glide Skip Rive, of course, the Windbreak Rive, and then the Water Skip Gold. So we talked about this as well, and I mentioned it before. If you like that Windbreak Glide Rive, which is an awesome disc, a lot of good players just have replaced that disc with the Water Skip, since that Glide Water Skip Gold is going to act very similar to that Glide Windbreak as far as distance and then what it does on the ground. It's going to react a little different in the wind, but other than that, it's going to be very similar, so that could open up a slot for him there. So those are my 3 recommendations for his bag. Obviously, get rid of that Glide Heavy Pure. If you want a heavy putter, make sure it's an accurate one. I've never tried the theory out with the heavy putter, see if they don't spit out as much as others, but I think it's a working theory and probably quite likely. And then you can free up a bag spot with the Windbreak. Just use your water skip in that spot, and then get like a roll driver or like a skip fairway, and then have some sort of roll fairway ace / throw-in disc as well. Those would be my 3 biggest things with this bag that I would recommend to change. Other than that, definitely solid bag, definitely usable, and I'm excited to try it out on Northern Lights. So without further ado, let's get into it. Northern Lights, 3-star, you got to get 24 or better. So not too hard, but you have to, I'm pretty sure that's 9 under or better, if I'm not mistaken. And you get this Queen Extra Fade Glide. Not the worst disc, but never something that anyone I've seen bags. Definitely has some distance to it, but Cool looking disc for sure. But here we go. This first hole, you definitely want to start out with an eagle, so gives you the best chances at 3-starring. This is my aim point. Slide to the left, middle chevron on that light, and then just kind of judge by the wind if you can get it. Oh no, caught those branches. So let's try to make this. If you practice, I'm actually up on the log, so you can have a look sometimes. I usually throw about 60 feet power from here. If I have a look, you got to be careful with the branches and the rocks. So we got that one to go. If you can get really good from throwing around that tree or throwing to the right where you have more of an opening, then you're going to get eagle there a lot. 'Cause it's pretty tough to get all the way down by the basket, but that does happen as well. This one, I think this is the perfect hole for the tilt. These are the types of holes that I would love to have the tilt. Just aim way off to the left here, maybe down a little farther, and then just straight pull back and let that tilt do the work. This is kind of a tough wind here, but again, very stable discs and big winds are very nice to have. As you can see, all that fade just fought through that wind. 59 feet, so not the best, but still very workable here. Oh, I should have thrown that heavy one. I'm just out of habit. I just go with the first thing that pops up in the bag to throw in like that. This one, I'm usually going to go for it. I would get really good from the drop zone, but I'm going to try to show you the safe play here. Usually I'm going to throw turn glide here. He got that out for his strive, the light glide strive. So we're going to go with the PD ×2 here in this wind on a forehand. So top chevron right on that rock, and it should be a pretty straight pull with the stability of the PD at the end of the flight. It should start fighting back against that wind. This is a tough hole to get birdie on, and I always like to just take my chances to get the eagle and then throw in from the drop zone, but it's important to know how to play this safe if you just need a safe birdie. We're going to go with the PD a little powered down. I should have aimed more to the left if I was going to power it down. Stop. Oh, we got lucky, hit that rock. So yeah, aim was off a little bit there, but it worked out. 92 feet. I think he said with this wind, I'm actually going to throw forehand with the pure just to fight that wind. This is a very nice skill to have. Then I can still pull it straight down and aim right at the basket. That worked out well. Rather than aiming way off to the right and letting the wind take it, you can just throw forehand and then throw straight at the basket and kind of counters that wind. So definitely a skill to practice. This one I'm used to going Vandal or Vandal roll Sapphire. So let's see what we want to do here. The Grace would be too much, at least on a backhand. So I think I'm going to go forehand with the Grace. I think that's going to be a good flight for this wind and try to hit my same spot. I try to end up right there before that rock. And it's important on holes like this, if you can find a spot where you can always end up after the drive. Come on. Fade. Oh. Well, that's not the worst. But somewhere around this area, this is exactly where I want to be. And then you get really good at the throw-in because you leave yourself in the same spot every time. So par 4 is where you're going to have a throw-in. Try to find a drive that you're going to end up in the same spot every time. Let's see. What do I want to try? I think we're going to go with the PD. This is one of the shots where it's just nice to have a roll disc. You don't go too far past. Even though with this one, there's quite a big backstop behind it. So you never have to worry about going too far past the basket. Even if you miss, man, that was not very good. But yeah, it slows it down pretty quick. 52 feet downhill into the wind. We'll get that birdie. Hole 5. This one, I usually throw forehand Explorer, but I think a lot of people throw like a backhand Fuse. So that's what we're going to go with here since he has that in the bag. Basically try to split those trees where the basket is. I'm going to aim off to the left and just let it turn. You can tell I'm not practiced with this line. Sit down. Thought that was going to turn a little more than it did. So adjust my aim a little more to the right and try to split the trees, but that works out well. It's a great disc on a backhand. You might have to worry about going long in a big tailwind, but for most winds, you're going to get pretty good distance for that hole. This one I'm used to going roll Sapphire on a default aim, but if I want to ace run it, the PD is perfect with the default aim. So I think I'll go with the PD. The concern here, again, without the roll disc, is that you're just going to go too far past, catch a rock or something, and end up OB. This is going to hit the big rock, which is okay. So that's safe. Not a very good bid there, but you can definitely hit that ace with the PD from default aim. Sometimes I'll slide left or right depending on what the wind's doing, but that's usually a great disc for that hole. All right, this one, I usually go glide, skip, rive because I don't have a flippy skippy, but let's try that turn skip. I think that might not be a horrible option. I have to put some fade on it. Should be pretty good here. Skip. Oh, I get a dead skip. If I wouldn't have got that dead skip, that would have ended up pretty good. And then a lot of people have different approaches for the second shot. If I can get close enough to the edge, I'll usually go for it with my light glide rive, depending on the wind. But the safe play is just throw like a mid-range or something. Let's try the glory. I haven't thrown the glory yet, so we're going to throw it up there. This is a little more left of what I like. I feel like if you get down in this area about 20 feet right of here, then the turn skip is like the perfect disc to kind of eagle run this from down here. Keeps it nice and straight. One skip off that hill. Obviously I was farther left and shorter than I'd like, but if you can get in position, kind of like those other par fours I was talking about, leave yourself in the same spot every time, then you get a lot better at throwing that up shot and you increase your chances at having it drop sometimes. This one I usually go light glide rive on a forehand in this wind, so I'm going to throw my same line but with the strive. I'm excited to throw this light glide strive. I like the strive a lot, so I usually put a little bit of anhyzer, but with the strive I'm just going to pull straight down because it's going to turn a little more than the rive and not fade quite as hard, so that worked perfect, man. That's a nice aim point. And this is another hole you want to try to end up in the same spot on your drive, pretty much as close to the spot as you can, or whatever your spot is, because this second shot can be very tricky. We're going to go with Grace here. It plays way downhill. Turn, turn, turn. I thought the Grace was going to turn a little more. Get away from that corner. Nice. But yeah, this hole can be really tricky if you're all over the place on your tee shot. So try to find a tee shot in a line where it ends up in the same spot. That way it makes that second shot much more consistent and easy. We're going to go with the fuse here. Straight at it. It's not the windbreak, but should be just fine. We get it to go. So basically we need par or worse on this hole, which sometimes happens because it's a tough hole. But with this wind, lots of different lines here. I've been having a lot of success with a backhand line. I think Banana Nam was the first one to show me this kind of route with the Sapphire, but we're going to go with the PD. Let's try the Pioneer. I haven't thrown it yet. I'm trying to throw as many of his discs, and I think it might be a good disc for it. It's not quite as long as the PD, but I think in this wind it'll be okay. And it's just one more disc we're trying to throw. Yeah, maybe in a bigger tailwind, the Pioneer, but I would go with the PD or Sapphire for that shot. Just a little too far out, but definitely backhand fairway is a great option on that hole. It's an accurate disc. You can be more accurate with it, and it's a lot easier to hit that gap. 103 with the fuse to finish it off. I don't want to finish with a par. I'm not very good with the fuse. Oh, we got it to drop. So there you go, 10 under. First go with his bag. Not too shabby at all. And there you go, 3-starring Northern Lights with MrGarlic's bag. Hopefully this helps him find some lines. He's got a great bag. Definitely some things I would change, a few things, but I know he's waiting on some discs. But hopefully there's a few things and lines that'll help him get that 3-star on Northern Lights so he can pull that queen. But either way, that was fun. I was trying to remember what other discs you get for this. But there you go, guys. There's the next episode. Hope you guys are enjoying this series, and let me know if you want me to 3-star your bag. Definitely some people waiting in line, but hit me up if you're interested. And as always, thanks for watching me play some DGV.